Alright, so here we go.
This that making the greatness. The kid who trained in his basement, 100-pound bag from the rafter, loading plates for the weightlift.
So yesterday I did a whole video on how I started this beat from scratch, choosing a sample, started adding some drums, as you can see, but there was a lot of dialogue and commentary that I wasn't too thrilled about. I could have edited some of it out. I wanted to just kind of one take this. I'll quickly go over the sample, some of the chops I did right here. So this is the sample here. I pitched it down 3 semitones because I like the way it sounded better this way. So this is the original. I also slowed it down. Normally it's at 108 BPMs. I brought it all the way down to 80 BPMs. After I pitched it down, then I came up with this. So this is what I have. So after I had those chops done, I started adding drums. The very first thing I started with was the snare right here. I knew instantly I wanted to give it kind of a realistic feel with fills and things like that. So that's what this is right here. As you can see by the velocity, you'll hear it when it hits. And if this sounded a little off over here, it's because of what I did next with the kick. So the way the sample hit, I wanted it to kind of match what was going on. So then I brought the kick in. You'll notice in this little section, the kick pattern switches up, but it's basically just following where the sample is hitting. Hopefully that makes sense once you hear it all together. I'll play it here again so you can hear it. After that, I basically layered an ambient snare that I like using a lot, but this one's not hitting every time. I think it's hitting like every 4 hits like this. It just kind of fills the background because of the reverb tail that it has. There was a little snare roll, again playing back to giving it the realistic feel of like somebody playing it. So it's basically this. We get this. I added some cymbals, but before the cymbals, I actually added some hi-hats, just basic hi-hats, and it just kind of played throughout. Alright, so after we did that, I like adding drops in the middle of my beats, like in the middle of the verse sections and things like that, but I like to do them with drum fills and drum rolls. I dropped out all the sounds, the hi-hat, kick snares, bass line, which we'll get to in a second, and then it's just this drum roll playing right here. Oops, gotta enable it. And then there's another one at the end of this first 8-bar section right here. I put another drum roll into a drop, which basically there's no sounds playing, and I got the main sample with a filter. And it wasn't even enabled. So this is what it all sounds like. From the end of the first 8, the drum fill into the drop at the beginning of the second 8. And then it drops back in right here. So then we added a bass line. Now the way I add my bass lines, it's a trick I learned. Once you export your audio, you right click, go to edit, it puts it in Edison automatically. You can normalize it if you want. Doesn't really matter for this trick, I guess, if we want to call it anything. You basically go to a free channel, add an empty sampler. Depending on your version of FL, you're gonna right click, insert none. This is FL12, by the way. If you're on FL20, none is not an option anymore, so you got to go to insert sampler. You insert none, it gives you an empty channel. There's nothing on it. Make sure it's highlighted, leave it highlighted. Go back to your Edison where the sample was. You right click, tools, convert to score, and dump to piano roll. That's gonna automatically put it in that selected sampler channel. And what this is basically the actual melody notes of that sample. So these are the actual keys playing. Now why that's relevant, some people struggle with adding bass lines and sub lines. I was one of those people. So this just makes my life easier. So what I do is on this empty channel, I put my 808 sub, VST, whatever you're gonna use, you put it right under it and make sure ghost notes are enabled. And that's up here under helpers, ghost channels. So now when you click on your sub, you could still see the melody line behind it. And basically, this is telling you where to put your notes. Now, you're not gonna put each individual note like this. That's not what we're saying. You're gonna follow your drum line based on these melodies here, these notes, which I already did over here. I'll get rid of this, which is what I did right here. So these are my actual 808s. And basically everything together sounds like this. As you can see, there's the note right there, so that's why it's hitting there. And another thing I do with my 808s, this changes per beat. I don't do the same exact technique on every beat. On this one, I didn't want the 808 to hit all the way through like its normal length. So I went into the envelope setting right here and I did this little hold and fade out. Basically you adjusted yourself right here with the knobs. And the reason why I didn't want the 808 to hit and then carry all the way through to the next note. So if you listen to this first note, I'll move it up so you can actually, you're not gonna hear it that way, but I'll turn it up over here. I want this 808 to fade out before the next one hits. Again, it's just what I wanted for this beat. It changes every single beat, so you kind of do it whichever way you want. So that's the subline. We got the drums, we got the hi-hats. Then I added a cymbal that I wanted to hit, not with every kick, but most of the kick. They would sound like this. Again, just because of the feel of this beat, the way it's going with like the big band horns, almost like an anthem, I wanted those cymbals to kind of accentuate the whole feel. So basically everything together sounds like this. right at the end, that's gonna cut out and drop into the hook section. So I may layer it, I may add some more sounds to it, like extra horns for that. And we're just gonna add more brass for the hook part. I don't want to overdo it because remember, the hope is that somebody's gonna rap on this. So if you just go sound crazy, in a way you're actually gonna ruin it by trying to make it sound better. So let's see. Why don't I any of my libraries? I know this is in the key of D sharp minor, because D sharp being the root note here that comes up the most often. One other thing I like to do is, for hook sections, if I use a sample, I might go back and then look at other chop points and then like re-add little pieces like that. Watch what we're gonna do. That's basically what we have. We have a verse, a drop, hook, back to the verse. So at this point, all I really have to do is sequence an intro, another verse or two, more drops if I want, and that's it. That's the whole beat, really. And then just start mixing all the individual sounds, EQing, a lot of reductive EQ. I don't really like to add, but
I'd like to know, are you really ready for some super dynamite soul? Yo, come to my hood. That shit sketchy as a truck stop, deadly as the gunshots, messy as your glove box, inherited dopeness, flow steady as the drum.